Maverick traders, welcome out to your currency recap. It's August 25th. Corey here with you. We're going to take you through meaningful news. We're going to talk about what's happening in the crypto markets. We're going to talk about different setups in the FX markets as well, but crypto is very interesting.
All trades and analysis in this video are intended for professional traders only. This content does not constitute financial advice and is for educational purposes. This video is being released after a short delay due to Compliance Department review. Maverick members receive this content immediately as part of their daily trading resources. If you're ready to level up, consider joining Maverick Currencies. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits. You bring the skill, we provide the backing. Let's get into today's market recap and see how the pros are trading the currency markets.
So as we come in from last week, we touched on this last week. I'm certainly a crypto bear, and I tried to emphasize that point in last week's market roundup. That was my trade, was crypto shorts, and I talked about how I anticipate Bitcoin going down to 100,000, maybe lower per coin. The rest of the crypto, same thing. So we had Jackson Hole on Friday, the optimism for a 25 basis point cut, the Fed's discussion, and what they're going to do next. But the crypto markets have taken what all of this quote unquote good news and really traded poorly. And there was even what some are calling a little mini flash crash in cryptocurrencies. There wasn't a news story, but everyone kind of looked around and didn't know why it was selling off, and that begat more selling and more stop losses, more trigger of panic. And so crypto is specifically weak. Now, if we look at FX markets, you've got a little bit of a mixed bag. US dollar slightly higher today, euro slightly lower, but not too much happening in FX. Crypto is the outlier, down 6% as a group. Oil was up about 1.5%. It was a really pretty quiet market except for crypto. Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, all selling off. Of course, the more speculative things getting hit the hardest. And I've been quite a bear. I mentioned that Bitcoin, I thought it would trade down to 100,000 a coin, lower and so forth. I really think that there's more to go before this thing's all said and done. So we'll look at a few of those charts, but that's certainly where the momentum is. If you look at the S&P, you could say, well, we're still in an uptrend, and I would agree. You're making higher lows. But if you said we're consolidating within the uptrend, I would even agree more. This is ultimately, we haven't gone anywhere in about a month. We're consolidating up there, but we're consolidating. We're in a little bit of a range-bound basis right here. So for this week, it's a little bit quiet on the economic front. We get core PCE on Friday. That's the Fed's inflation gauge, and we know that part of why they haven't cut rates to this point is they didn't want to risk losing control of price stability, of inflation rearing its ugly head. So that becomes the biggest event for the week, is core PCE. If that comes in as expected, the market's probably going to breathe a sigh of relief and think that the Fed's going to cut by 25 basis points. Now, there's not really anything on the long side. Aussie is sort of by itself as a potential bull. Everything I would call neutral to bearish, and especially in crypto. We're at -3 in Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin itself is just on the cusp of that. I would say Ethereum is the strongest of the bunch, so I wouldn't really be shorting Ethereum. I would be shorting these other cryptos as potential plays. Let's look at a couple of charts and see why they're the areas of velocity. Well, let's start in FX land. So here's the Aussie. It's not really strongly bullish yet, but we're on a buy signal. We're upward sloping. We're upward trending. Why doesn't it look great? Well, you've got just a recovery that brings us back into some old resistance. So you can see how we're just getting back up to where we were back here. It was kind of a big downtrend, and now we've bounced. What you'd like to see is a back and fill, a sort of cup and handle type of pattern where Maybe we back and fill just for a candle or two and then get the next surge to the upside. Aussie, though, is the strongest chart out there. So if you're looking to pair something up, you've got a good short. I think Aussie is the next play, the next thing to continue that upward trajectory. My guess is that when you're looking for shorts, British pound is going to be at the top of that potential list. As a candidate, you can see this support level. You can see that we're potentially breaking below it. We're on sell signals. We've got downward slope, downward trending. It's not a runaway bear market, but it's certainly starting to break down. So British pound on the short side, maybe against the Aussie on the long side, seems like a reasonable trade to look at. In crypto, Bitcoin Cash, we have taken out the lows, and we've done so on momentum. You've got all the classic characteristics. You're on a sell signal, you've got downward slope, downward trend, everything we want to see for bearish trading. If we flip over to Litecoin, same exact thing, maybe worse, right? Maybe even more bearish. You had broken support even earlier on sell signals, downward slope, downward trends, and the path of least resistance continues to be lower for these cryptocurrencies. Notable also that if you're looking for bearish candidates in the stock and options market, we highlighted for that group Coinbase, which is also in this same space. Looks like the most bearish chart out there. So I kept up the same note this week that I had last week. Last week, I wanted to emphasize the crypto shorts. And if you've been playing that, you have been rewarded. I think there's still more to go. Was it a great call last week? Yeah, but it's probably going to be a great call this week as well. That is where the momentum is. So we'll continue to look to strike where the iron's hot. Hope you enjoyed this currency recap. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.